Tsunami warnings reached the state Tuesday after a large earthquake struck in the Russian Far East. We speak with tsunami warning coordinator Dave Snyder about Alaska impacts.
Well, weather is following yesterday's earthquake and tsunami alerts. The rain holds on for just a little longer. I'll have a look at that forecast.
And the Arctic Encounter Summit kicked off today in Anchorage, bringing together leaders and participants from around the world. A look inside the largest Arctic policy and business event in North America.
We take you inside the gates at Fort Wainwright as the U.S. Army celebrates 250 years of the Chaplain Corps. A very special event you won't want to miss.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
Thank you for joining us on the news at 6. I'm Augusta McDonald.
And I'm John Thompson. Tuesday, 8.8 magnitude earthquake hit the Kamchatka peninsula off the Russian coast, sounding alarms in our state for tsunami alerts.
Jackie Purcell joins us now. She's going to be updating us on what we know at this point. Jackie.
Yeah, Augusta and John, that massive earthquake was one of the strongest ever recorded. Tsunami alerts were issued immediately, stretching from Hawaii to the shores of California and up the Alaska coastline. Now, Dave Snyder joins us now from the National Tsunami Warning Center in Palmer. So, Dave, thanks so much for joining us again. But looking back on yesterday's events, what was your initial concern as that data started coming in? And what signs actually tell experts a tsunami may be generated and become a threat?
Sure thing, Jackie. In those first few minutes, the only information we have is that a significant planet event has occurred with a magnitude 8.8 earthquake off of the Kamchatka Peninsula. We know that's one of the largest earthquakes that we've ever seen, certainly in our lifetime, and it has a potential of moving a lot of water. And so that's what we started focusing on. The next step is to determine whether or not water is moving across the ocean, and we use the U.S. DART buoys across the outer coast of Alaska to detect that, confirm that, and then help to forecast that, and then advise local communities of what their impacts may be.
Now we're talking remote areas, vast distances. Are there challenges that you face as an agency getting information to these areas like ADAC?
Absolutely. Communication is a struggle on a good day in some parts of Alaska, and I would expect that to be no different on a tricky day like a tsunami day in ADAC or anywhere else in the chain. So with the state of Alaska and with the village work that we do in between events, we make sure that communities have the resources and understandings of the process and the alerts and the information that we're going to share during the time so that they can be prepared to act, even if they don't receive that critical phone call in the moment. They have other ways to receive that information to know, to get the high ground and get out of the way until further information becomes available.
Now we saw the ADAC city manager express appreciation for some of those very timely alerts. But if you could grade yesterday's alert response from an agency standpoint, what kind of grade would you give yourselves?
Oh, I don't know if all the paperwork's in on that yet. We're still in an advisory for parts of the U.S. West Coast and California, so we're not done yet. So I would be a little early if I gave us a final grade on that, but I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, I think that you folks should be proud of yourselves. Finally, is there any correlation between some aftershocks that we're seeing in the area and events like the Klushevskoye volcano eruption that's ongoing right now? How does that play into your monitoring over these next coming days?
Our main concern are those large earthquakes capable of moving a tremendous amount of water and any of the secondary effects that they may cause. So all those aftershocks are being monitored by the team 24/7, 365, just like any other day at the National Tsunami Warning Center. We take every quake seriously until we know it's not a problem. So those aftershocks certainly do have our attention, and they're keeping our crews busy. But so far, we have not issued any additional alerts on any of those sizable quakes that have followed the 8.8 the other day.
Well, Dave, thanks again for joining us tonight, and we'll be in touch in the coming days as we continue to monitor this situation. Now, let's
Thanks,
go
Jackie.
to, our forecast for some very wet weather that we're continuing to see around the south central region. This wet weather is going to continue tonight on into tomorrow. It stretches all the way into the interior, and it's unsettled weather out there in the Aleutians. And, you know, it's nice that it wasn't in the middle of the winter and with high winds occurring that something like that occurred yesterday. In Anchorage, temperatures much cooler into the 50s here in the last hour. In Fairbanks, they're at 61 degrees. They've had some extensive cloud cover, but we're getting into the second half of the week. I'll be happy to talk about that forecast coming up a little bit later, but back to you.
All right, Jackie, good information there. Thanks so much. And back to that tsunami, no injuries or property damage is being reported now after the southern and western coast of Alaska braced for a potential tsunami. That was just yesterday.
Just yesterday, yeah. 8.8 magnitude earthquake did cause concern along the entire western U.S. coast, with advisories upgrade to warnings here in Alaska yesterday afternoon. Communities in the area, including Adak and Atka, seeing waves 1 to 3 feet high, while residents and visitors evacuated to tsunami shelters. Alaska's emergency managers sent out alerts across the affected area. City leaders called safety precautions successful.
Within the first half hour, we had everybody, 95% of the community was up on the hill at the tsunami shelter. So the response was excellent.
Very proficient. Everybody was well-versed in how to evacuate their families and locate to the evacuation site.
Well, for now, it appears that the tsunami danger from the event has passed here in Alaska, but residents are urged to remain vigilant.
And it's billed as the largest Arctic policy and business event in North America, taking place now in Anchorage.
Arctic Encounter kicked off today at the Denina Center. This year, participants represent a record 27 countries. The event is marked by seminars, discussions, breakout sessions about the future of the Arctic. Its founder says that the summit is an efficient way for leaders and stakeholders to meet together in one location, share information and ideas.
We cover everything from Arctic infrastructure to geopolitics, national and international security. We have Nobel Peace Prize winners, ambassadors from all the Arctic states and many non-Arctic states. We really run the gamut in terms of what we try to address in a very intensive 3 days.
Arctic Encounter runs through Thursday. Governor Dunleavy is expected to speak at the event tomorrow, and U.S. Senator Lisa Murkowski is scheduled to speak on Friday. We'll continue to follow that, and still ahead, we're diving inside the gates as soldiers at Fort Wainwright had a celebration.
And they commemorated the 250th anniversary of the Army Chaplains Corps. We're going inside the gates right after this. Well, soldiers at Fort Wainwright, they celebrated the 250th anniversary of the Army Chaplains Corps earlier today.
Our Adrian Peterson was there at the celebration and brings us inside the gates.
It's a part of the military older than the country itself, firm in the founding principles of the United States. Here at Fort Wainwright, the Army Chaplain Corps gathered to celebrate 250 years of service.
General Washington at the time he recognized that the Army without a moral compass, the Army without the support of the local pastors and ministers in the area, that they would grow hopeless.
To resolve the feeling of hopelessness, the Chaplains Corps was founded in 1775, bringing life to a founding principle of the United States.
Part of the reason why people came to the Americas was for religious liberty. So from the very get-go, not only have chaplains been a part of the Army conflict, but a part of our nation in 1776, forming had been fundamental to displaying moral integrity, helping people in finding their spiritual calling.
During the celebration, chaplains and garrison leaders spoke about the role of the Corps and where they fit into the service.
Wherever you go, you're going to find a chaplain. So whether your unit is in the field and they're doing infantry maneuvers, you'll find a chaplain somewhere. They won't be holding a weapon, but they'll be doing infantry maneuvers as well.
Now, as the legacy of the Corps continues and evolves, the role of these soldiers remains strong and supportive. Adrian Peterson, Alaska's news source.
Well, coming up, I'll have a look at the second half of this week's weather. But first, let's look at daylight hours and our sunsets for Anchorage, Fairbanks, Juneau, and Bethel today on Wednesday.